The printed page misted, flowed garbled. Colt's pipe went out. When he tried to light it again, he could not. He set the book on his lap and began reading. Then a draft of wind, small and almost imperceptible, fingered the pages, turning them idly, thoughtfully, one by one, over and over and over. Colt watched it work its will with the pages, stiffened and hypnotized. His fingers jerked. He seized the book and dashed it to the hearth, cursing. The wind mocked him, tenderly stroking his brow with a slim finger. Colt flung himself into the hall, tore down a huge drapery, jammed it against the door, under which the draft came hissing and laughing. "I'll throttle you! I'll stop your tongue!" And then, tired, "Go away, damn you!" Weakly, "Go away. Let a mortal live." A grinding noise. Something crackled like thick, dry bones. A pause. A rustling, thumping, terrific crash. The lights went out. The room plunged into howling, dark pit. The power poles lay slaughtered by the wind. The electric grate, glowing faintly, died too. In the back room, the words Colt babbled were meaningless like a hysterical child. Fumbling, Colt struck a match. The light played over his face, aged 20 years. The lonely flame threw light over something that gleamed dully. The phone. Maybe. The phone wires had been connected to other poles if the line was still intact. "Operator!" Colt waited. Response. "Yes, sir?" Thank God, thank God, thank God. "Operator, give me Trinity 9929. "Trinity 9929? "Yes, and hurry, for the Lord's—" A pause. The phone on the other end was ringing. It was ringing. It was ringing. Click. "Herb Thompson speaking." Herb! Insane with relief. "Yes, who's this?" Herb, it's Colt." "John? Your voice, I didn't recognize—" "I haven't time. Listen, I want you to do something for me." "Anything? What's wrong? You sound—" Click. "Herb, there's a localized storm outside, a great wind. It wants me. It wants me alive. Are you listening?" A rapid rattle of the hook. "Herb!" A rattle. "Herb!" Pause, shouting, "Herb!" Silence. The wind moved outside. It had won again. Won again. First the lights, now the phone. "Operator, I've been cut off. Operator, it's no damn use! Curse you, damn you! Kill you! Take this!" He ripped the phone from its wiring, heaved it at the window. He realized his error too late to stop it. The phone struck only partially, splintering glass into a crystal web, breaking a small hole. The wind tongued in, taking advantage of the small egress. Colt dammed the hole with a plug of wadded drapery. He stood raging, frightened, bitter, alone. Alone. Eyes wide and every fiber of him a quiver. "You want me alive, don't you? Alive! You don't dare knock the house down with one fell blow. No, that would kill me. You want me alive so you can rip me apart finger by finger and muscle by muscle. Or do you want what's inside of me? My mind. My brain. My mind." He faltered to a stop, shocked by the truth. He put his hand to his brow. "My mind. That's it. You want it, don't you? You don't care for this husk that cradles my mind. You want the intellect. You covet my thoughts. My life power, my ego, the psychic force, the power of thought and existence. You want all those because that's what you are, aren't you?" He drew in a long, aching breath. His eyes coursed tears and his cheeks were wet. He cursed the wind. "That's what you are. A big cloud of vapors, atoms. Winds from every corner of the earth. The same wind that ripped the Celebes 10 years ago. The same Pampero that killed in Argentina. The typhoon that fed well in Hawaii. And the hurricane that devastated the coast of Africa last year. You're all of them. Part of each. Part of those tempests I escaped. Only something happened to give you a start in the direction of alien life. Or maybe the winds have always been this way. More than hot and cold currents, you want power. Like mine, you want intellect. I could do you more good or harm than others, for I know your feeding ground. I know where you were born and where you expire. You don't want death like other winds. You want life. To get me out of the way because I know. I can tell the world of your cruelty, tell them how to parry and defeat you, as I have done in books. But you don't want my preaching anymore. You can use me for your own purposes, incorporate me into your huge cold carcass. Give you knowledge, purpose, direction. You want me on your side. Colt laughed again, lungs tired and broken from laughing and shouting against the dinning. The house shook like a slipper in a puppy's mouth. You'll have to tear the house down bit by bit, and I'll duel you tooth and nail all the way, like I fought you in Ceylon when I started a forest fire. The one thing that survives and feeds on wind, combating it. I licked you then, and I'll do it again. The house shook once more, and the crumbling started. The front wall bulged in, glass splintered but did not break. Colt, face swollen from emotion, turned, scrambling for the kitchen. He dared look once as the kitchen door sealed behind, saw the parlor wall buckle, spew in as if rammed by an artillery shell. The wind stabbed through, howling in triumph. The kitchen door barely shut before the wind's shoulder was against it. The frail lock could not hold. Colt fought against the straining hinges. Giving up, he jerked the cellar door agape, leapt down, bolted in. Giving up, he jerked the cellar door agape, leapt down, bolted it. Bomber fragments of kitchen door shrapnel everywhere. Gas mains tore loose, spurted gas that blazed into fire. The upper floor of the house tore away like a simultaneous ripping of 10 million yards of muslin. Colt gritted his teeth, held to the door. Blood ran from his nostrils. He fought idiocy, fought the wind with his mind. You can't get me, you can't. I'll hide until you rip the floor up, board by board. Then I'll burrow in the ground like an animal and escape. Like I did in Alexandria years ago. Like I did in Nairobi. I'll burrow! The wind paid no heed. There were voices in it. Voices in the gale. Bora and Bayamo. Wretched callings, pleadings of the Ciceros and the Tempests. They pleaded with Colt, commanding, telling, urging, ordering him to give himself up. These were the tongues of 10,000 killed in a typhoon, 7,000 slaughtered by a hurricane, 3,000 engulfed by a cyclone, twisted and tortured and flung from continent to continent on the backs and in the bellies of monsoons and whirlwinds, wandering in rains and showers and snows and hails, racked by thunder, pelted by water, fettered and bodiless, molded from 1 million disenthroned spirits into one voice, and that voice, one of darkness and power, now demanded but yet another sacrifice. In respite the wind slowed. It quelled over the conquered rubble of wood, plaster and sharded glass. It roved through the crippled ruin, biding time. It languished outside the cellar, singing a blank verse melody in a score of keys. And the singing was only broken by the sobbing from the cellar. There was a great silence after the maelstrom, a silence punctuated by weeping and the anxious hiss of the wind. Colt would not come out. The cellar floor was dirt. He lay on it, looking up, face streaked with dirt. Sweaty, lined, haggard. "Come and get me," he husked. Scrabbling at the soil, raking a shallow trench for his body, he attempted to burrow and crouch in. His fingernails tore and bled. He ached. He longed to rest. Finally, he could stand it no longer. A coil of rope lay in a corner. He clutched it, threw a snake of it up over one quivering rafter. The kitchen floor gave, creaking bit by bit, in 5 minutes. As the rope came raveling down, Colt tied a quick noose in it, hard and sure, just far enough off the floor to... Next, a keg of nails rolled and rocked into place. Colt stepped up. This was his escape. He reached for the noose. The wind flicked the noose away from his fingers. A small hand of wind somehow had crept into the cellar from above, and now flung the rope wildly in circles. "Give it to me! The rope, you fool! The rope!" Colt tried to catch the madly dancing hemp line, but the wind threw it out of reach, zigzagging it from side to side and back and forth. A lurch from Colt, the rope flew away, came back to rap him in the face, then out again. Desperation. Colt snatched, cursed, and snatched again. Time grew short, so little time to escape, a snatch, a miss, and he cut the rope. The wind died. Died as if only playing a game. It waited. Colt wondered why. But taking advantage of the cessation, He thrust his head into the noose. "You can't have me alive. You can't have my life force," he cried. "I'm getting away. I'm getting away now." Colt leapt, kicking the nail keg with frantic feet. The rope sang, wiring his throat in strangulation. "I have won," his missling brain exulted. "I have won!" But immediately the rafters upon which the rope depended sagged inward, shrieking slowly, certainly, with the cracking thunder of the rafters, pulled by Colt's weight, gave way, opening an entrance for the wind. The rafters collapsed, the floor caved and flew apart. Colt fell sprawled, choking in the dirt. "All right, God damn you!" He stiffened up, raging. "Here I am! Take me!" The wind howled. "The lines are down, sir." "Are you sure, operator? I was cut off in the middle of my call." Herb Thompson laid the phone back on its cradle and leaned against the writing desk, shaking his head. "I can't figure it out. No storm, a little wind maybe, but..." He took his coat off an armchair and shrugged into it. "Think I'll drive out Colt's way, have a look-see." He sounded strange, but that's his way. Maybe he'll be on his way here now. Another of his cracked theories, liable to pop up any time. Herb Thompson was undecided. He stood wavering, considering, hat in his hand. Faintly a rapping came in the front door. "Eh?" Herb started, listening. The knock was repeated. "Who's knocking at this time?" Thompson hurried across his den out into the hall, where he stopped again, alert. Huh. Faintly he heard laughter. Of course. Herb grinned hugely. "I'd know his laughter anywhere. It's Colt. He came when he was cut off. Couldn't wait till morning to tell me about his confounded tall tales." Thompson chuckled as he marched to the front door. "Glad he's here. Probably brought some friends with him. Sounds like there's a lot of other people laughing." Thompson opened the front door. "Come on in, Colt." The porch was vacant. Thompson showed no surprise. His face grew amusingly sly. He laughed. "Colt? Now none of your tricks, come on!" He switched on the porch light and peered out and around. "Where are you, Colt?" No answer. Thompson waited a moment, suddenly chilled to the marrow. He stepped out on the porch and looked uneasily about, very carefully. A sudden wind caught and whipped at his coat, disheveled his hair. He thought he heard laughter again. The wind died down, sad, mourning, passing away, going back far out to sea, to the Celebes, to Nairobi, to Sumatra and Cape Horn, fading, laughing. Thompson shrugged. He went in and closed the door, shivering. "That's funny," he said. This has been The Wind by Ray Bradbury.
The weed of crime bears bitter fruit. Crime does not pay. The shadow knows.
Next week, same time, same station, Blue Coal, America's finest anthracite, will again present another thrilling adventure of the shadow. Be sure to listen. And be sure to burn Blue Coal, the solid fuel for solid comfort.